In the small village called Bethora, every morning began with the long chime of a bell from the stone tower in the center square. Its echo was a reminder that the villagers did not live by bread alone, but by the faith they placed in King Jeru, the one they believed was watching over their every step. Yet, everyone knew that life following him was never a path strewn with roses. The one who kept the flame of faith alive in the village was Elyon the teacher, an elder who had endured many invisible battles unseen by ordinary eyes. Before each prayer gathering, he would always recount the words of King Jeru to the people. That day, Elyon stood in the square, his eyes stern yet full of compassion. He unrolled an old scroll, and his deep voice resounded. King Jeru once said, "I send you out as sheep among wolves. Be wise as serpents, but remain innocent as doves." The entire square fell into silence. Those words drifted like wind through every rooftop, filling hearts with both trembling and awakening. For the villagers knew, somewhere beyond the dark forest surrounding Bethora, there lurked a force ever watchful, the one they called darkness the divider. Elyon lifted his gaze to the crowd, speaking slowly. "My children," he never promised us a life without opposition. On the contrary, he warned clearly that the path will be full of snares. This world is not safe, for everywhere there are schemes, deceptions, and unseen hands seeking to pull us away from the light. A wave of murmurs rose among the crowd. A young mother clutched her child tightly. The blacksmith quietly clenched his callous hands. Each understood they were not only fighting daily weariness, but also facing a greater battle, the battle of the spirit. Elyon paused, and suddenly his eyes gleamed with a strange light. "But, people of Bethora, remember this. Wisdom is not the privilege of the cunning. It is our armor. It helps us recognize the trap before it springs, discern the false voice before we go astray, and prevent the seed of division from taking root in our hearts." He descended the stone steps, walking among the villagers as if to make each one feel the weight of his words. "Therefore, I urge you, be watchful, stand firm, and keep your hearts pure. We are not alone, but if darkness the divider sows discord, our strength will vanish." Elyon's final words thundered like a war drum. "And oh, Bethora, do you not know, the very first thing the enemy longs to destroy is not each of you separately, but rather the unity among you all." A cold wind swept through the square. Faces turned to one another, uneasy, waiting for Elyon to continue. Why is unity so terrifying to the enemy? And what truly happens when the whole village joins hands and prays with one heart and one mind? While the air in the square was still taut like a tightened string, Elyon slowly recalled an ancient memory, his voice sinking low like the wind echoing from distant times. In days past in the White City, the people of King Jeru once prayed together in one accord under a single roof. In that moment, the Spirit descended like a rushing wind, shaking the place to its foundations. Yet I also witnessed this. The moment a seed of suspicion crept in, unity shattered, and that wondrous power fell silent. His words sent a shiver through the people of Bethora. They knew Elyon was not merely speaking of history. He was pointing to the enemy that still prowled among them. Indeed, darkness the divider had never rested. He did not appear in a form that could be easily recognized, but hid within whispers. When the blacksmith overheard a remark about his failures, a wound was carved into his heart. When the young wife caught a neighbor's suspicious glance, her spirit swelled with resentment. Through such small things, darkness fanned the flames of division. Elyon continued, his eyes sharp as steel. He knows well that our strength does not lie in numbers, nor in weapons, but in unity of heart. The moment we clasp hands and lift our voices in prayer, the heavens open and power pours down. This is what he fears most. He paused for a moment, then lowered his voice as if etching each word into their souls. Therefore, darkness does not first attack with sword or spear. He sows rumors, suspicions, and wounded pride. He scatters invisible seeds which, if we are not watchful, we ourselves will nurture until they grow into bitter trees. Another gust of wind swept through, carrying with it a chill like the very presence of the unseen foe. The villagers exchanged glances, hearts trembling with both fear and resolve. Elyon concluded, "Open your eyes, my children. This is no coincidence. This is warfare. If we do not guard our unity, Bethora will lose its shield of protection. But if we stand firm together, no force, not even darkness the divider himself, will be able to break us. After speaking of the schemes of darkness the divider, Elyon paused, casting his gaze over the villagers. He allowed silence to settle, as if urging each one to search their own heart. Then he slowly spoke. Have you ever noticed this? When it comes to feasting, hunting, or setting up a fair, everyone quickly agrees. But when it comes to gathering for prayer, suddenly excuses arise. One is busy, another is weary, someone else feels hesitant. Do you think this is mere coincidence? No, this is spiritual warfare. The villagers stirred uneasily. Elyon's words awakened something they had all observed but never named. He continued, King Jeru declared, when 2 or 3 gather and agree in prayer, I am among them. This is not ritual, but a promise. When 2 hearts unite in faith, heaven itself moves. That kind of power cannot be replaced by any individual effort. Elyon lifted his eyes toward the sky, as though conversing with the unseen one. Therefore, I tell you, find for yourself a prayer partner. It may be your spouse, your child, or a brother from a fellowship. Do not take this lightly. For when one falls, the other will lift him up. When one grows weary, the other will intercede on his behalf. He stepped closer to the crowd, his tone earnest and tender. But remember, unity does not mean agreement in every opinion. We are different in personality, in thought, in lifestyle. Yet in King Jeru, we can share one purpose, to honor him, to obey him, and to follow his lead. A gentle breeze swept through, unlike the chill that had come before, as if heaven itself bore witness to the truth. The people of Bethora nodded quietly, their hearts kindling with fresh hope. Elyon closed his teaching with this firm declaration. Be watchful, O people of Bethora. Guard the bond that King Jeru has given you. Do not allow a rumor, a wound, or pride to break down that sacred wall. For only when we are united does the kingdom of darkness truly tremble. After sowing the lesson of unity into the hearts of the villagers, Elyon straightened himself, and his voice rang across the square like the toll of a great bell. Oh, Bethora, now is the time for us to act. Do not merely hear and let the words pass by, but raise up an invisible wall through united prayer. If the enemy can bind himself together to launch his cruel schemes, then how much more must we stand as one to face and to conquer? The crowd stirred. A group of young men clasped their hands tightly, their eyes alight. Mothers holding children nodded, their hearts suddenly filled with a hope that their homes could indeed be safeguarded. Elyon lifted his hand, pointing to them one by one. You, pray for your household. You, lift up your friend when they grow weak. And you, intercede for this community. Do not think your prayer too small. When it joins with the prayers of your brothers and sisters, it becomes a force that stirs the heavens. He paced in circles around the square, his voice rising ever stronger. Forgive quickly. Refuse every whisper of slander. Do not let a small wound become a doorway for darkness the divider. Clothe yourselves with humility as with armor, so the enemy finds no weak point to strike. A warm wind swept through, making the torches around the square blaze brighter. Elyon pressed on. Remember this, our strength does not lie in uniformity of thought, but in unity of purpose. We are different, yet when King Jeru is set at the center, every voice joins together as one song lifted to him. He ended with a resounding cry that made the entire square tremble. Rise up, Bethora. Build a wall of prayer around your families, around this village, around the weary souls among you. Become warriors not with sword or spear, but with one accord in prayer. And then darkness, the divider, will tremble, for he will know that the people of Bethora have become a fortress unbreakable. After Elyon's resounding cry, the square of Bethora sank into a sacred silence. The warm wind still blew, and the torches flickered as though they were dancing before the people. Slowly, Elyon knelt down, his hands lifted high toward heaven. As if moved by an unseen current, the villagers followed, old and young alike, strong warriors and mothers with infants in their arms, all bowed together. Elyon's voice rang out, both powerful and trembling with reverence. O King Jeru, today we come before you with humble hearts. We ask you to grant us the most precious gift from heaven, the gift of unity. Let unity reign in every household, in every friendship, and throughout the whole community of Bethora. The villagers whispered together, "Grant us unity." Elyon continued, tears falling onto the dry earth. "Lord, the enemy has tried to sow discord. He has whispered lies, stirred up suspicion and pride. But today, in your name, we declare that every scheme shall fail, every wound shall be healed, every broken heart shall be restored." A sob rose from the crowd. A young mother clung to her husband, their tears mingling as one. An old man trembled as he grasped his grandson's hand, his eyes glowing as if he had regained a faith once lost. Elyon looked upon the people and prayed further. "Send us companions of faith, prayer warriors who will lift us when we are weak, who will remind us of your promises when we forget. Make Bethora a place where every prayer rises like a river flowing straight to your throne." Again the wind blew, but this time it carried a sweet fragrance, like fields of flowers newly blossomed. The villagers felt the presence of King Jeru among them. Elyon raised his voice, proclaiming victory. "Lord, guard our relationships. Keep us from bitterness, from slander, from slow forgiveness. Teach us to walk in true love, so that the world may look upon us and know that Bethora belongs to you." The entire village shouted together, their voices thundering like the roar of heaven itself. "Amen! Amen!" In that moment, Bethora was no longer a small village threatened by darkness. It became a radiant fortress. And it was their unity that made darkness the divider tremble, knowing it had been defeated before the power of King Jeru and his people.